Hey, man.
What's up, brother?
Brother.
Fellow brother.
Man. Alright, it's been a while.
It's been a month. 2 months.
At least 2 months.
At least 2 months. Too long.
Too long?
I'm glad to see you again, Balint.
I'm glad to see you again.
It's an immense pleasure.
Though I don't know if I'm so enthusiastic. I mean, I love you.
I want a divorce.
Take half my shit, man. It's not funny. Okay, anyways.
Okay. And
we both have pretty great summers.
amazing. I really enjoyed.
I went to Hungary. Matthew went to France.
Changes from the friends with culture and about you.
Wow, man. Yeah.
It's good to
Alright.
see the outside world a bit.
We're gonna pause here. And through the miracles of editing, we are back.
Ooh, editing.
That's amazing. Wow.
Balint is such a good editor.
That's not
Props
true.
to the editor.
I just paused it.
What?
I just paused.
Can you teach me how to do that, bro? I don't know how to pause.
There's this button with the black square. I mean, it doesn't matter the color.
Yeah,
but,
yeah. That's what I thought. Okay.
it's a square that happens to be black. Okay, that's it.
With white under it, of course. Is that a symbol? I don't know.
No, anyways. Okay.
Whoa.
yeah,
Too deep. Too deep.
So, today we will be talking about languages.
As well as immigration.
Yeah, because Matthew has some
I've
feelings
got
that he
things,
must express.
I must express my feelings
So-
before I blow. And please, don't get offended of what we say. We might say some.
What Matthew says, I'm not gonna say anything offensive.
Ooh.
It might do offensive, yeah. But anyways,
We'll try to make it as less offensive as possible.
yeah.
Nothing like.
What
No.
do we do? What are these bars? You see them?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
Maybe
crazy. I'm seeing shit.
Yes, you are. Have you been?
Hmm?
Hungary is quite famous for illusions.
For what? Revolutions?
What? And what? No, like glue glue.
Oh yeah.
Have you been glue gluing a bit?
That's it, a little bit.
It's okay.
We call it the.
Ooh.
We call it. How would you say it in English? We call it like
Just say it in Hungary.
habuskako,
Ooh.
which is like frothy chocolate. Oh. No, man, we're not gonna let you run.
Frothy chocolate
Yeah, chocolate milk.
for drinking.
Mm-hmm. It's the code name for.
Oh, code name.
Yeah, that's what it
Yeah,
is.
yo, mom, I'm going out to drink
Yeah.
some chocolate milk.
Chocolate milk.
Oh, okay, you enjoy that chocolate milk.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
It's pretty nice.
So
Staying on the language topic,
yeah,
it's pretty nice. Shout out to all the Hungarians and their chocolate milk.
I love Hungarians. Anyways, so France, what happened?
So I don't know if y'all have seen the news, but especially in France, there's a lot of immigrants. It's been like that for a while now since the wars in Africa, and even before that, like colonization and independence and all that. And just recently, there was the Africa Nations Cup, where Algeria was a big favorite to win it, and what a coincidence! There's a bunch of Algerian immigrants in France. So you can imagine when they win, the kind of like
Celebration.
the celebrations they have in public places. Like, I'd be fine if they did their celebrations at home, right? Had like a couple cops called on them for making too much noise and all that. Like, I'm fine with that, right? But like, it's the fact that they go out with fireworks, with fire, breaking stuff, singing stuff, bothering everybody, right? And just causing complete destruction. Like, is there really need for that? I'm not trying to be mean, but if you are an immigrant, from immigrant to immigrant, if you are an immigrant, I think that the country you are in, you've got to be thankful that you're in that country. And I'm thankful I'm in America.
Yeah.
Because it has some good education, it has some
agree.
good points. And you've got to be, you can't just, yeah, okay, you can't just like openly
destroy property
yeah, and
that's
then
not of your country.
And even
if it is your country, is
you shouldn't either. Yeah, I just find that disrespectful to your country because you immigrated there to find a better life. Like, if you really don't enjoy the life there, then why don't you go back to your country at war? Right?
Yeah, but okay. So, but is this? Do these things happen often? I think that's the question.
That don't happen often, but when they happen,
but then you have to realize that okay, well maybe there's French people that do the same thing.
You see, French people do it in France. So the French people, and it's all French people that do it. Like, you're an immigrant. Imagine you're an immigrant.
I understand.
You flee. Your family flees a country, right?
But they're not
because there's war. Imagine like Syrians, and then you go to a new country to find a better life. You find a better life. Mm-hmm. You know that your country over there is under like a dictator rule, under war, destroyed, but you still openly carry that flag and say, "Yo, we love Syria, we love that, we love this." When you're in a country that openly adopted you and that was like, "Here's a better life," right?
Oh, that was the whole thing.
You can't just be discriminating your country.
With Trump and she told us.
You see, I'm fine if you keep. I don't care if you're. I'm sorry. I have very strong feelings. I don't care if you're any religion, right? If you're any, you could be an immigrant. You can be anything. I don't care. But as long as you are thankful to be in the country you've immigrated in, then I mean, I don't want to mean you can stay, but you understand me, right, Balint?
I get what you're saying.
I don't think you should be immigrated and just like complain about it.
Yeah, that's what happened with Trump, right? She told those ladies to. Well, the news cover said that he told them to go back to where they came from, but that's absolutely not what he said. Well, he sort of said it, but he didn't say those exact words. So they kind of twisted what he said. But anyways, there's some truth to it that you shouldn't disrespect a country that's what you could say is not yours, but I don't know if there's really a big difference if a citizen's doing that or if an immigrant's doing that. I don't really see the big difference. I mean, I see that, well, okay, maybe it's more disrespectful, but other than that, I don't think there's that big of a difference. And this doesn't happen too often, so it's not like it's a problem, is it?
It hasn't been a problem, but I feel like it is becoming one. More and more often, you're seeing these types of degradations. Not even from immigrants, I'm going to defend the immigrants on this one. Even from French citizens, saying that this country is shit. Like, let's go like break some shops, right? Why would you do such a thing?
Mm-hmm. So it's more like what you could almost call a global issue.
A global issue.
Well, not quite sure what you can do about that.
Yeah, there's
so
not much.
So how does that necessarily tie into immigration? I understand that you're trying to say that immigrants should respect the country that they're in.
Into.
So that's
not even respect, just like be thankful to be in a better life.
Yeah, respect. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Especially, but then again, you have to understand. Well, okay, so think about it this way, right? There's this guy born in France and this guy born in Algeria.
Algeria.
Okay, so think of it this way: is the French man luckier than the Algerian one? Is he more fortunate? Is he more privileged?
At this point, no. So I don't know if it's the case for every immigrant, and I might be, what do you call it? Being stereotypical here, but usually they create like communities, right? And so at that point they're benefited because they have their own shops, they have their own discounts.
But I mean, a home citizen of Algeria, is he less privileged? I guess you could, even though I hate the word privilege. Not in France. In Algeria. If he's in Algeria and there's a man in France who has it better off, most likely.
Well, the men in France.
Most likely.
In France.
The French man. So, obviously, you have to say that they should be thankful for it. But then you also have to realize that they came from a worse place.
Exactly. So they should be thankful for getting there.
But why should they be thankful?
Because
maybe they're resentful that they didn't have that in the first place. You know?
Okay, but if you were resentful,
Well, no, I
you wouldn't. You would be.
understand.
Okay. Yeah.
I understand, but I just think that they should be thankful for it, but the French should be equally thankful for it. You know?
For France.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
then, why are the French destroying property? That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. Also.
Oh, so both
So,
are
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, not so
I
not.
understand.
There are those few people, whether it's immigrants, whether it's French citizens, whether like immigrants, not even from Africa, from whether it be Germany, England, even America.
Okay, so
It's general
Algeria
people.
is just a
Because
example.
yes, because it
It's
was
just
on the
an
news recently. I'm
I
using it
understand.
as an example.
Okay, that more clear. Okay, that's more clear.
More clear. Very good.
So that's interesting.
Is there any problems like that in Hungary? Or we haven't.
Well, I know initially when there was the Syrian migration crisis, it was a huge problem. Because not a lot of them stayed in Hungary, but a lot of them were going
Moved
towards,
through Hungary towards
I
like
don't know where they went. Did they go through Austria?
yeah,
I don't
one
know.
of those richer
I don't know, but
Austria,
I know
Germany.
that they traveled through, and
Yeah.
lots of them use mass transit, and
Yeah.
some of them just beat up people, but it's a really small percentage, and that's the problem with a lot of the news is that
Yeah,
only the
they
extremes,
focus on a small percent
only
of
the
the extremes.
get on the news, right?
Yeah,
You don't see the rest of the 90% of
exactly
normal
it is
people.
because it is news, so it's
Exactly.
something out of the ordinary
They
that
have to,
that
otherwise
even if that like one small percent of people doing bad things is on the news, it doesn't mean it's a huge movement.
Exactly. And that that's the whole. And this doesn't only relate to migration. This relates to everything.
Yeah.
And man, I mean, these news channels, they are starting to be so pathetic.
Yeah, and the news, their whole goal is to try and like get viewers nowadays.
Exactly.
It's not to actually send news, so they do.
That's exactly.
They
what
try to
do
do the most scandalous stuff possible
Mhm.
to get as much viewers.
They. It's the same thing with the domestic violence things. Is, what I realized. Have you I think like 2 or 3 years ago, I was watching the Super Bowl and I saw these ads about domestic violence, and I was like, not every single man
Is
committing domestic violence.
yeah.
I think it's a small percentage.
It is
Of men.
because it is, but they're just showing it because it's out of the
Exactly.
normal. And then
And because it gains a lot of support. I mean, obviously, who wouldn't want to help
support,
someone
yeah.
that's
course.
being domestically abused?
of course,
But it's a very small percentage. I think. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't have statistics on this, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure it's not everywhere. I'm like you.
And so, so everyone thinks that all men are now wife beaters, which is not true.
Yeah, that's true because of the news.
Because of the news, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, it just needs like one news outlet to say, look
Anything.
at one person that did this for for thousands of people to take the blame.
Yeah. So, okay, I have some really weird stuff so big cultural differences between Hungary and America. I don't know how extreme that is in France. How big the cultural
I would say
differences
the
is.
cultural difference between France and America is pretty big as well.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't as big when I was there. I would say even before. So I went to North Carolina first. Even before North Carolina, I would say that it wasn't that big of a divide because France was under that American style influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the clothes came from there. All the trends came from there. So you could kind of see how France was relating to America a bit. Versus nowadays, there's almost no connection between France and America.
Really?
I think very few clothing even now is from America. You've got brands like it's a new brand called LSA, that's all new in France, and now that's all they're focusing on. It's
Interesting.
like even Supreme is which is huge here, right? Supreme
Yeah,
is huge
that's
here.
pretty big.
It's very small in France.
That's interesting. For me, what I see cultural differences in the people. I'm not talking about like material things.
Yeah,
I'm
of
talking
course,
about the people. It's a huge difference.
I agree. I don't know
For
about
me,
Hungary. Yeah.
for me, I like the Hungarian people much better.
I agree. And I was talking to my mom about this. whether it be because we're in that like zone
I don't
might
know
be a
what
reason.
it is, man.
Because you've got to realize we
Maybe.
are still in a very, I would say, wealthy quarter of Houston, right?
Definitely.
And we're in a suburb
You
as
just
well.
gave away where we live,
Oh,
man.
I'm sorry. Oh damn.
Jesus.
Oh damn.
Okay, we're gonna bleep that out. Or
Yeah,
something.
there we go. Bleep. I'm just gonna say we're in a wealthy suburb, or I would say wealthy enough, right?
Yeah.
That kind of changes because once again, not all of America is like that. You've got the poor side, you got the richer side. So whether it is because we are in this type of zone that it's so much different, I don't know. Because in America, I've never been outside of Texas. I don't know about you because I know you've been in New Mexico.
Outside, but well, the thing is I've never really gotten a chance to interact with the people, outside of the state. So
even the people outside of Friendswood, I don't think I've ever gotten a chance
not
to.
Not really, and the couple people that I have seem fairly similar. But for me, it's a huge difference, and maybe it's because I'm practically Hungarian. I mean, I lived there for 10 years, so I probably absorbed lots of the things that are there culturally.
And it helps to like have seen both cultures because then you can absorb from both.
It's insane, and you can learn a lot. But what I find is that the people here are a lot more uniform. There, it seems like everyone has a very distinct, very, very distinct personality.
I agree.
Every single person they have indistinguishable traits. And I think this is definitely true for the American people, but they don't show it.
They artificial.
The same way. They seem artificial. They seem like they're just cookie cutter. Cookie cutter people. That's what it seems like.
They want to be the same as
all the same. Yeah. It's so weird, and I didn't want to think that that's how it is, but I'm almost sure.
It's the same in France. Same thing in France.
And that's why I want to be honest. I love the Hungarian people way more than the Americans.
It's okay. This is what this podcast is for.
The people that I know
honest.
right now, right? Obviously, maybe if I move out of Friendswood to a new area, then maybe then
And once again, not everybody's bad in Friendswood. Like
no, not at all. You got Janice.
Yeah.
Janice,
of course.
We love Janice.
Yes, Janice is an amazing person. Shout out to Janice.
Shout out to Janice.
And even the adults. That I don't know if you've talked to a lot of adults, whether it be teachers, whether it be neighbors. I mean, there are those few artificials, but there are also those few very nice people.
Yeah, most definitely. But that's just one thing that I really noticed, and I was like, wow, there's people that are actually like different than, like, they don't want to be uniform.
Yeah, I agree.
Which I think is super important. I think that group identity is complete bullshit, because once you start looking at people as a group, here's what happened. Okay, so I read, I told you I read some psychology books, and I read Jordan Peterson's, and I love him so much. He's incredible. Some of the points I might not agree with that he makes, but a lot of them I do. And what he said is that once you start doing, group identity, once you start using this, it becomes very dangerous, because then people stop looking at their own personal faults.
Individualism.
They stop looking at themselves as an individual, and they just think, well, we're in a group, so that must mean that we're all good, because we all agree, right? But that's not how it is. And he said that you have to start with yourself. And I don't know, I think you've heard this a lot of times. Don't judge other people before you know that you're better. Or at least working on it,
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's dangerous to try to be like everyone else. Because then you feel safe, And being uncomfortable is the only way you're going to get better.
Just like learning from your mistakes.
Being uncomfortable, making mistakes is the only way you're going to get forward. If you always feel safe,
then
you're not going to get
evolve.
anywhere.
You don't.
And so that's why I think it's dangerous. Now, obviously, people should have a community where they can fall back onto if there's some problem.
Yeah, of course.
But that does not mean...
But it shouldn't be a base. It shouldn't be a base.
Exactly. That's what I really learned from reading these books. It's really, man, it's awesome because like he was talking about like how, the one thing that separates humans and other animals is that they have consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? Okay, obviously, right? It's
What?
well, no, but and the reason this is amazing is because what consciousness does, it makes you realize that you're vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so when people do something bad to you, okay, let's say they punch you, not punch you, because they say something mean to you,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well then you're vulnerable, so you're hurt, and you realize that's bad, but because you're conscious, you realize that that's bad, and you can inflict it upon other people, and that's what distinguishes humans from animals, is that they can use their vulnerability and exploit it on others.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. Because it's the same thing in the Bible, When Adam and Eve become conscious, they can see good and bad. And I was like, wow. So people figured this out a really long time ago. They couldn't put it in perfect words. They had to make up a story for it.
A story for it, yeah.
But it's incredible.
Mm-hmm. That is pretty incredible. Man.
Yeah. And that's why humans are capable of extremely good, and they're also they're able to achieve the contrary.
Extremely bad, yeah.
Yeah. But human vulnerability and consciousness drives success. That's
Ooh.
what I learned.
Balint 2019.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah. All right. Well, okay, what's next?
What's next? Well, maybe we could tie this whole cultural thing into languages. Let's talk about the differences in
I
languages.
don't. The problem is that I'm really bad with languages. I mean, I speak two.
That's pretty good.
Hungarian.
And
Oh, I know it's better than.
three.
Nah, I don't speak Latin.
You could try.
What I can like say like gratias tibiago, and that's
Animal
about it.
venti.
And like mihi nomen est, but that's about it.
Shout out to Mr. Wells, which is a great teacher.
Mr. Wells. I don't know. Ooh, he had a kid.
He did? You finally had it?
I'm sure he had
He
it.
finally had it.
He must have had
Finally,
it.
yeah,
Dude.
yeah,
I mean, he
by
was
the
waiting
summer.
2 months ago, so
Yeah, that's true.
I hope.
Imagine spending your summer vacation in a hospital. Then having a kid pop out.
It's timed pretty good, because imagine having that during the school year.
Yeah, that'd be worse.
That's even worse. Yeah, so what about languages?
We could just I don't know about Hungary, but in France,
Mhm.
whether it be culture or even the language is heavily influenced by Arabic. I don't know about Hungary, but in France it's become to that point.
Hungarian is not. It's by Arabic.
Really, I feel like Hungary is a very isolated state.
It is. And mostly because of the culture and the language, because I mean, who the fuck...
Wants to learn
Nobody
Hungarian.
can, yeah, nobody.
I tried it on Duolingo.
It's not-
I think
and
I
the thing
abandoned
is-
it after
and
a
the
week.
yeah, and the thing is like you would think that people there speak English. No,
No.
they don't.
Uh,
They don't. They don't speak German. They don't speak. I mean, some speak German, but mostly it's just Hungarian.
Yeah,
So if you go there, man, you're gonna have a hard time.
but it's also good to preserve that like national identity.
Yes, and that's what the
All
Prime
Hungarians,
Minister's
all
doing.
Hungarians know that every other Hungarian speaks Hungarian.
Yeah.
You see, in France these days, I think new words are popping up which are derived from Arabic. Which,
Really?
I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm not gonna judge that, but I
That's
feel like it
interesting.
is taking away a bit of the that French identity, which is the typical sounds and all that from the French language.
What do you mean, like? But why? Is it like slang words or what?
It is slang words because the majority of immigrants are lower class.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that just to be stereotypical.
Yeah,
it is
well,
like
no,
it
that's
is
how
like
it
that.
works.
That's how it works. It's lower classes typically immigrate, and that's what's happened. Is the lower classes they create those communities. They form their own words based off of French and Arabic, and from there it develops into French, and then you've got new words like that, new slang, yeah, especially slang.
That's interesting.
And I feel like that's another issue is the divide between the low classes and the higher classes. I feel like that's a problem also in the United States. I don't know.
The divide.
The divide is growing larger. Before you
Well,
used to not be able to clearly see the line between the lower, the medium, and the high. You used to have a bit of a frequency, right? Where you could see, okay, this is low, this is a bit higher, a bit higher, a bit higher, a bit higher. Now you just have the poor, like the really poor and the really rich. You don't have any, you barely have any more people in the in-between.
The middle class is definitely, I think, reducing. But
and I honestly don't know what that's.
But also the standards of living are increasing.
Of course, yeah.
All over the world.
Of course, yeah. So the lower classes, of course, are living better than the lower classes 10 years ago.
Exactly. Yes. But that's an interesting thing, and yeah, that probably produces some problems, but you can't really fix it.
You can't fix it. Apart, you've got to do.
You could try socialism, but that doesn't work. So no.
I can't remember. It was I can't remember what country. The United States is going towards that path, but it's called isolism. I can't remember. It's not isolated. It's like I can't pronounce it. But it's like it means that the state, the country, has gone into a state where it no longer accepts anything from the outside, whether that be trade, whether that be people. It just completely isolates itself.
Because that's what Trump wanted. He wanted a little bit more of a national.
And I know that I can't, Germany is going towards that path. And
but it's not gonna happen.
It's definitely not to the form that they want it to.
I don't think it's gonna.
They definitely, because what they're imagining is, this is a state. There's walls around it. Nobody can get in. Nobody can get out. Boom. Well, maybe not get out, but nobody can get in, right? So we stay this American identity, right? I don't think it's gonna get to that extent, but I do think there still is gonna be more restrictions than before.
Possibly, but I mean that's at a certain point the United States will reach a population where you can't support more people.
Of course, yeah, just like what's his name, Japan, where it isolated itself for so long that it gets to now. There's like not enough people. There's what do you call it again? AP term. It's the people that can't the people that can't work.
The dependent,
yeah. The dependency ratio.
That's what it is.
It gets to that. So many people are in that upper quartile of the dependency ratio, and not enough people are in that lower quartile of the dependency ratio.
To pay for them, and care for them. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. Same thing's happening with medical care, and that's why it's becoming more and more expensive. It's because there's a lot of old people, to put it simply.
Damn old people.
Well, no, but the longer people live, the more medical attention they
make
need.
More babies. That's what I'm saying.
That's
somebody. I hope some Democratic guy goes for like his election slogan, just make more babies.
No, but that's the thing with medical care is that there's more old people. So, a lot of money is going into that, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. I'm just stating the facts. And so, because that's the big debate, socialized medicine. So are you going to give 80% medical care to 100% of the people? Or are you going to give 150% medical care to, only 60% of the people?
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Which one's better? And people say, well, it should be a right to have medicine, or medical care, which
it is. It fundamentally
it should be, but then you have to think, well, the United States was never like that. So
so the thing about that is too that so there are some ups and downs to the United States system of the way it works, right? Yeah. Which is you pay for it personally.
Yeah.
There is no socializing.
Very expensive.
But there is an upside to that, which is competition. So people are going to pay more. That means more money comes in.
Well, yeah.
That means they have more money to
hospitals.
More money to develop.
Oh my God, those things are incredible.
Are so much more developed than when you go into Europe or South America.
Is the only way you're going to be able to use them is if you pay enough. So, you have to look at it and is it morally acceptable?
Yeah, you've got to choose what you want. Either you want to pay a lot to get some very high quality care, or you want to pay just that right amount and get that same care.
I think, but it's really hard, but I think it should be a right? Mm-hmm. A human right to be able to live. That's what I kind of look. That's how I kind of look at it. Like if you're dying, why do you have to pick up a loan so then you can,
that's
so you
just,
can survive?
that's just ridiculous to have to pay for your life. I don't know.
I don't know. That's kind of weird.
It's a weird, right?